Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Melissa Wyman here with Happy Trees painting tutorial. We have no idea what number we're on anymore. I think it's like 12 or 13, but we're doing these, at this point, we're doing these every Wednesday and Saturday night. We've got another one coming up Saturday, which is going to be a couples painting where you take two canvases, paint one picture. I do have some couples paint from home kits that are available on my website, happytreespainting.com. I think there's a link for them on Facebook too. But so yeah, I am delivering those locally. So if you're interested in following along with one of these or just watching one of our videos we've already done, that is one way you can get the kit. And the kit includes, drum roll. So there's 3 brand new brushes that come in there. You got this is what I call the big brush, medium brush, small brush. Now what I'm doing today, it also comes with this paint palette here. I do not have I have these come in like plastic cups. So anyways, these are the colors you get. Primary colors, white, brown, and black.
And it's more than just one painting's worth.
That's right. So, well, there's 2 options. So the single kit is definitely enough for one, but I usually am pretty generous with the paint. And then I like to have a little paper plate here so I can have some room to mix our colors. So the painting that we're doing tonight is actually inspired by a friend of mine, Joey Henry's photograph. It's funny, if you zoom in, this has got some paint splatters on it because I'm really messy. We're in close quarters here. The piano has paint splatters. Joey's picture has paint splatters. So anyways, it makes it look a little cooler. So by the end of the night, I'm going to have another version of this. So this is a photograph that he took. We also have a couple of his prints up here. Let's pan up to the Joey Henry prints up here. So visit him over at Joey Henry's Dirty Sunshine Club and check out some other stuff that he did. We've also got some tunes of his playing in the background. So since we can't be together, we have to try to connect some kind of way throughout all of this. So this is what I'm doing for my own sanity. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about what we're going to do to make this happen. Now, if I'm remembering right, this looks like a sunset, but this is in fact, in the photograph, this is a reflection coming off of a car from a sunset that's happening over here. So that's kind of an interesting element, but we just have a sky that we're going to work on. You can see we've got this wispiness going here with some different blues and grays, and then we come down here into some sunset colors. This is going to be really easy. We're going to have some perspective of this dirt road, and then we've got the fields off to the side. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's see. Come over here.
Yeah, I do feel like that sunset's the opposite now that I'm seeing the painting and the lighting on the painting. But I had the opposite side when I said that.
You mean it's supposed to be over here?
It looks like that side's lighter, yeah.
Yeah. So we know that it's a reflection from a car instead of a sun in the middle. So let's do our big brush. I'm just taking it out of the water. Tap, tap, tap. Give a little squeeze so you have your washcloth and you can just squeeze all that moisture out. I'm wearing slippers right now. And I want to do the sky first. And you can see that this horizon line, you can especially see when you've got them next to each other. I would say this is about the center of the canvas. So this is a little bit lower than that. How much lower? I don't know. Probably like 2 or 3 finger spaces. But the sky is going to come in with these lighter colors, and I want to do the light yellows first and then start to get into some of the blues and other colors up here. So let's work on the sky. I've got my white paint here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop a little bit of white I'll show you on my palette here in just a second. But take a little bit of white and then a pretty small little tippy toe of yellow here. And what I'm doing is I just move that over to the paper plate. So there's white paint. And I know this is probably kind of hard to see in my current situation. But you want like a really, really light pale yellow. So before we go to put our paint on the canvas, I'm going to take my brush and stick it in the water and then just add that. So this brush, I just kind of tippy-toed in some water and then I'm mixing all that up. So let's look at where our horizon line is. If we think that this is about the middle of the canvas, we can go about 3 finger spaces down, something like that. And let's just go in. I know this is probably a really hard color to see on that screen, but I'm going to take it again about 3 finger spaces up from there. And I just want to get this layer of light yellow. And while that's still wet, I'm going to start to layer some other colors into that. So we have this light yellow color that I mixed up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiniest touch of red. And I'm going to try to just a little bit. And you'll see that pretty drastically changes that shade there. So I just want to go. And then with this, I'm going to go so lightly. So to get this real soft look here, I've got this pink color, but this is still wet. And I'm going to go in and just barely just run a few streaks right in here. Okay. And I don't want to do a whole lot more than that right at this time. I just want to get that real light color in. And then I'm going to go in and start to get into some of these blue colors here. So you get that light color. And I'm going to just rinse my brush off. So when you rinse, you got to just really knock it around on the bottom of the cup. Cup. Squeeze. All right. Now I'm kind of saving this darker kind of grayish blue color for a little bit later, because if I start getting into that, it could come in and take over more of the sky than I want it to. But if I go in and I work on these blues and getting all of these nice little blue streaks in here, there's even some real faint like lilac that you can see if you're looking real close. So we're going to work our way up to those darker colors. We already have this bright part in. So I'm going to just kind of skip around and come back up here to the top. Let's go in. So I have my big brush. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to do this straight from here. So to load my brush up, you can see I've got a big pile of paint here. And I'm just going to go in on both sides. So I just get both sides of my brush loaded up. And I'm going to stick that in the water just a little bit. And go ahead and kind of load it up again. All right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come in over on this left side, and the brush stroke I'm going to be doing is kind of like this. And I see people a lot of times, people don't move around enough when they're painting. So when they go in, they want to just sit here and make sure the spot's covered real good. And you just need to like not do that. You want to just skip around, and you can see I'm keeping kind of a darker blue here, and then I'm going to lighten up on that a little bit as I get over here. So I still have, and as I get over here, I just do less and less. So, and then this is going to happen quick. So if you watch The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, he's using oil paints, and his canvas is pre-primed with liquid white. So this is kind of almost, it's not like that at all. what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and take white, but I'm going to try to hit it while all this paint is still wet. So it's going to get kind of a similar effect. Tap, tap, tap. I just rinse my brush out. Let me take some white and a little water. All right, so this is going to kind of happen quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking this white and I just kind of start dancing around, sort of in between, but also over some of these wispy streaks I've done. So you can see what's happening is I'm taking that white, as I continue to just move my brush. Get a little bit more white paint. Now what happens eventually is that you start to pick up, whoa,
Oops.
just had an accident. All right, so what starts to happen is that your brush will start picking up more and more of this blue paint.
Happy little accidents.
That's right. There are no mistakes around here. Who said that?
I said that.
Oh. So if you see how Bob Ross said that. All right, so I've got the blue, and I've been able to make it get lighter as we go. So don't over brush stroke this. It's hard to stop doing this, but if you do too many brush strokes, you lose all these nice little colors that are naturally presenting themselves to you. So you don't want to blend it all into the same shade. And you can see this is a lot brighter blue. I think I was using ultramarine blue, and today I'm using phthalo blue, but it's fine. Whatever shade of blue that you've got. I'm going to come in and start to add some different tones to this. So I want to come in and let's do that kind of grayish color. It's almost like a grayish purple. And I'm going to use my paper plate for this. So I'll go ahead and rinse off my brush. And let's go in, take like a scoop of white. Just a tiny touch of black. Maybe actually more than that. So this is kind of a scary color to put on a nice bright sky blue canvas here, but we're going to do it. And so the trick to going in and just adding some wispy kind of streaks that don't completely take over your entire sky is you just don't want to have very much paint on your brush. And I'm also not adding a ton of water on this part either. So I have some of this gray loaded up, and I'm going to use a few different shades of it. See some bristles. If you get some bristles, just kind of use your brush to knock it off. All right, so right in along here, we definitely have some of this darker color. And what I want to do is I'm coming in and I'm just letting some of this streak. And I'm just doing a few little things up here. And I'm sticking kind of light, so I can change up the value and add more and get more shadows in here. But for right now, I just kind of want to get a little idea of where all those are. And then and just so you can see I'm not completely filling this in. I'm only going in and letting some little streaks happen. Maybe there's a little bit of this gray up here. We've got a few steps to go before we're done with that sky, but it is just going to kind of be a little layering. So I kind of like where those clouds are placed, and now I'm going to go in and make them a little bit darker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more black, and I'm going to add a tiny touch of red. I don't know if you can tell what a small amount that is. But this kind of almost gives it like a purple tone. I'm going to go in with that and add a little bit darker. I'm going to come in over here. What I'm going to do is just and there's some of this little color that comes in kind of all over. It's hard because I'm used to standing really far back from my pictures and I can't really do that right now. Okay, I'm going to get even a little bit darker. I'm going to add a little bit more black and a little bit more red. So when you're going in and you're adding shadows, you can see I kind of have this lighter gray here, and then I'm going to layer on a little bit darker. So I'm just kind of adding a little shadow. Okay. And now I kind of want to pull all of this together. I like to do that with a little highlight. So let me go in and rinse off. Rinsing my brush again. I'm going to add a few little highlights through here that just kind of get this a little bit more blended. Actually, this is like really, really light blue. Like if I just go white with like a tiny bit of water. So I'm going in with a little bit of this light blue. And what I want to do is, I'm not trying to erase those shadows. I just want to come in kind of where put all those shadows, and it just helps. We keep adding these layers. It's nice to come in and sort of blend. And what I'm going to do is just blend this a little bit more. And then I'm going to leave it alone for a minute, and I can come back in. And if you want to soften stuff up too, you can also use your hand. Just adding a slight bit. Sorry. Sometimes I just have to make random noises. Okay. I know I'm going to leave it alone. But before I do that, I'm going to go in with a little white. And it's kind of also going to just be sort of dancing in between all of these. So the trick is, again, don't over blend. If you go in and just add some little wisps. In between all these little shadows and And as far as kind of this pattern I'm following, you can see my brush strokes were like, oops, sorry. I gotta see from afar. Okay. All right, so we're going to leave that alone. We're going to let that dry. If we want to come in and add some more highlights to it later, we will do that. But sometimes you just got to move on to the next step so you can have some dry paint to come back to. Okay. Rinse, rinse. All right, let's come down into here. And what we're going to do is just... If you look at this picture closely, I guess it looks like this kind of comes all the way to the corner. Probably a safe bet. That's an easy way to do it. So let's go in. Let's take that medium brush. So this one, or any kind of flat brush. So you can see with a flat brush, you can hold it this way and make a skinny line. Or if I were to paint this way, it would be a fat line. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just take like a 50-50 mixture of brown and black. So I'm going to just goop up. My black has already run into my brown, so this is not hard to do. So I just want to get a little bit of paint. So we got some shadow color there. And I'm going to add just a tiny touch of red to that too.
On Joey Henry just added it.
All right. How are we doing? Tell us which side the sunset was on. I think it's this side. The light was all backwards. Okay, so I'm going to go in and just hit this all the way across. Yes, there's going to be a light here, and we've got a gray road, but we're just worried about doing this. And then I would come in, find the middle, and let me move this up. So yeah, you can come down to those corners. So wherever your middle part is, center-ish, or what Joey says, pert near symmetry, something like that. Okay. Now, I would just go back in with your big brush. And I'm just going to pick up more of that color. Maybe I'll get more from my palette. Brown, black. And go in and just, I don't know, anytime I'm doing like a shadow layer for foliage or any kind of landscape stuff, I always just do these big circular brush strokes. It gets the job done pretty quick, and it also gives you kind of just some ideas of some bushy things already starting to happen. All right. The other thing we'll do, I have this brush loaded up. I don't have a lot of paint on it. You can see I like to use these big bushy brushes for landscapes because it's really easy to go in and you can just, you know what, I'm gonna do a trick here. Trick time. So I want to kind of have a little bit of a, maybe not just like straight line. Take your finger and go in right in here. So I'm just taking that and kind of dragging it up a little bit. So it's just, this is all going to get covered up with our car reflection. So I'm just kind of fuzzing that out. If you've got too much paint on your canvas, this could cause you to have a big mess. And that might be so subtle you maybe don't even see it on there. But once you kind of fuzz that out, take this brush and you kind of just do these little, in this picture here, it's like this upward. Let's See how I'm just dragging that brush up. Make them longer in certain spots, but that just gives you, maybe over here there's even. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm rinsing that brush off again. And we're gonna go in, let's do some gray for this road, which I already have a version of that here. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more white, a little bit of black. And I'm going to add a little brown to this too. So for the road, it's going to be a white, black, and brown. And what you can do is leave your paint kind of marbled, so don't mix it up all the way. And I'm just going to come in. Now, on this, I'm going to do my brush strokes kind of following that perspective. And I'm not worried about a lot of details right this second. This is why there's critical under the piano. So just by letting the brush stroke go in that direction. Because my paint wasn't mixed up all the way, that's how you can kind of see all these different shades. Funny, I rewatched a few of these that I've done and I've noticed sometimes I don't finish my sentence. So, figure it out. Okay, so we got the road in. That stands as a pretty good landscape. I still want for this to dry a little bit. And I want this to be pretty dry when I go in and put this in. So let's let this chill for a minute. This has had time to chill. And all I want to do up here is just add a little bit more white wisps. And I'm just not going to use very much paint. I'm going to just put like a little bit of white on just the edge of my brush here. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, the sky changes all the time. So I just wanted to go in and brighten up some of these spots. And what you can do is if you come in, if you want to really get a nice kind of blended thing going, use your finger. So I'm just going in and picking out a few spots here. And you can see I kind of have the wisps are going the same direction as my original brush stroke. So you can see when you take this wispy white, you can even go over some of these shadows, and it just kind of, your shadow will still shine through, but it just kind of softens everything. Okay. I just think that kind of helps give it a softer look. Go over that kind of one more time and just kind of blend all that together. Okay. I think this is probably good enough to start going in and getting some color on it. So on this side, we really don't have much to do. I've got just a little kind of bushy thing I'm going to put up here in the front. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow paint just by itself. A little bit of yellow. You can see I'm just kind of loading it up bushy here on my brush. And let's just do yellow first. Okay, so I'm coming over here and I'm just gonna go in. And I'm just gonna make a little bit of like a bushy line of something happening here. And I'm also going to come in and just add a little bit of red right into that yellow, ketchup and mustard. And I want to go in and hit.
All right, Samantha Ward is painting with her fingers.
All right, that's how you do it. You can see. And I'm just going to kind of come in and add just a little bit of that orange color there at the bottom. And I'm going to come in with my small brush here. So when you're doing these little bushy things, there is such a thing as like, I don't know, if you get too much of the highlight color on it, you can always go back in. So if you're doing this and you feel like it got to be too much, you can come back in with a little of this shadow color at the bottom. And sort of get some of those little highlights back. We've got a reflection over here, so I can't. All right, there we go. Okay, so that kind of makes it start to look like we got some little things living over here. I'm not going to do a whole lot back behind that, but over on this side, we have more of like some little rows of crops. And that's kind of more of a lighter, that looks like white, yellow, tiny touch of red, and maybe a tiny touch of brown. So let's see what that can look like on here. So let's do a little bit of white. This is for this color over here. So a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown. And let's just do the tiniest touch of red. Tiniest touch. That was like 2 bristles. You may not even be able to see it. Okay, so now I'm going to exaggerate these rows here, but the idea is you're going to come in. You need for your lines to kind of still follow this horizon. So see, this one almost is flat with the horizon. And then we're going to come in and do another row. I'm not counting the rows over here. I'm just rolling with whatever will fit on this version. So you can see there, I left a little shadow in between. I'm going to go in and do the same thing. So I'm leaving a shadow in here. Maybe I'll add a little bit more brown. So you can kind of change up, get some other colors in here too. I just added some more brown to that same color I was using, and I'm going to kind of use that up here in the foreground. Let's say I got a little something happening right in here. A little tiny row back there. You see those lines are all kind of going back to this vanishing point here. All right, so I've got those in. I'm going to add a little bit more detail to those, but I'm going to leave that, let those kind of chill. I'm just going to run my brush right along the bottom just to kind of blend that out a little bit. So we're going to go in and add some more things to this, but I want to let that sit. Let's go in and add our reflection here. And I'm going to use I'm going to use this medium brush. Is that going to be too big? I don't think so. I'm going to take a little white. Just find wherever you've got room. I'm realizing that I have a little bit of brown still in my brush, but I think it'll be okay. All right, so I've got a little white. I'm making light yellow. And what I want to do is I'm going to come in right here. So if you see this picture, it's almost like it's half on the horizon, half off. So it's like right here in the middle. So don't try to, it's not above the horizon line. It is on the horizon line. And I'm just going to turn my brush like this. So that gets me a pretty good light yellow dot. And I'm going to let that stay like that. I'm going to come in with this skinny brush here. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. That's probably too much red, but again, I can kind of take. So see how what I did there was instead of taking the yellow and putting it right on this red, I took the yellow and I put it off to the side, and then I slowly moved my brush in so that I could get the appropriate shade. If I were to just take that yellow and add it straight to that, that red would just eat it all up. It wouldn't really change the shade very much. So, all right, I'm going to go in with this brush here, and I'm just going to trace on that top part there. And again, I'm kind of softening that out. Just a little touch of that underneath, that's okay. I might even just get a little bit more red there, so don't be scared. And then to really make that kind of pop out, what you need to do is you got to go in with that tiny brush. And really brighten up that middle. And I may have to let this dry just a second while I'm finishing, doing some finishing touches on the other part. We are painting fast when we're doing these live. So it's not quite dry back behind it, so it's not letting this paint stick to it. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second and come in here and do a couple other little things. So we've just got a few kind of finishing details, and I'm just going to take, I still have this tiny brush, and what I did was I just got a little bit of yellow paint, and I'm just going to take that with a little bit of water. And I'm just going to go in kind of right along here, and I'm just adding some little grasses. I might add a tiny bit of red to that. I'm gonna use this kind of orangey color. Over here, I'm going to make some little things stick up out of there. Maybe we have some of those down here. So when I'm doing this, I'm kind of just, I'm turning my brush constantly as I'm doing those little brush strokes. Maybe we got a little faint, something's going on back here. You take a tiny touch of white if you want to go in and just really highlight some of those. Okay, let's go back over here. I'm going to hit that same kind of orangey color. And just go in. Just kind of drag. I'm just kind of going back and forth between like light yellows. There's a little orange in there. Every minute the light's changing, so colors change. It's fine, whatever. I just really want there to be a nice highlight so it stands out. Okay. Now let's put...
Woo!
Whoa! Oh no!
Accidents tonight.
Accidents. We're gonna have lots of stuff fall off the wall. Okay. Sorry, Joey. It made
Let's
it.
Let's see up close on that one.
Let's see. We did get. There's a little slight paint on there.
Let's look at the photo a second. That is a Joey Henry photo. A print of his available for sale, or others are available for sale from Joey Henry.
It's very resilient.
It falls off walls. It keeps on going.
Keeps on ticking. Okay. Let's see here. This is bugging me right now, but whatever. It's going to be fine. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to add some little rock, kind of gravelly things on the side of the road, which will just kind of help clean this area up. Rocks are fun to do. So let's, okay, so let's get in here and I'm going to make up a color that's this brown. I'm painting right on that because it's like pretty dry anyways, and at this point I want all the colors are going to be involved, so we just want kind of a dark shadow color. And what we're going to do is I'm going to load my brush up to where I get half of my brush in the shadow color, and then I dip the other side into some white. So I've got some white on one side, shadow on the other. And then I'm just going to go in and start to go, I kind of shake my hand a little bit, and I'm just making these little bouldery things. Now, when I do that, I kind of like to go in and run my hand along the bottom and then just pull that out. You can get some real nice little shadows going. Let's get a little bit more paint. Add a little bit more black to that. My white hair is getting kind of sloppy, but let's do some ones back in here. I'm just sort of pushing. I'm making sure that the highlight is on the top, shadows on the bottom. You could even get in here and do some in the middle of the road. Again, oh, my highlight's not on there. I'll show you how you can go back and fix that. So, just with my finger, I'm just moving that paint around. So you still want that highlight up there. And then I drag that shadow out into the road. Let's go in over here. I'm kind of just using these rocks to just clean up that space there. And as you go, your paint's going to start to smear together. You got to kind of rinse your brush off every now and again when you're doing this, but you can usually use quite a few little rocky things with one brush load. Again, I like to get some on. Now I'm trying to do this pretty quick, and I've got a reflection, so I can't really tell what that's looking like over there. But I'm just going to add a few more and then get this guy in the middle. So you want to have some middle rocks. Let's go in and let's just take that shadow color. Another way you can do it is just go in and maybe make a few little pebbly things out here in the road. Smear the shadow out. And then you can go in and just take some white. Something like that. If you want to give some kind of gravelly texture to it too, you can just kind of come in and sort of just do something like this. And then if you come in with a little white, I'm just kind of adding some texture, I guess. Sorry. I keep bumping my head on the phone because I'm trying to stand back and look at it. I'm really just kind of pushing that. Okay, I'm just going to get a little bit of that. Again, that just gives that road a little bit of texture there. Okay, I should be able to put a really bright spot on this sun back here, but if I can't, then that's what it looks like today. Okay. Oh no, my smearing finger is compromised. All right. I think one more little white dot here. All right. So, yeah, if you were painting along, or I know that there was Jenna, I think you were painting out there. I don't want to apply pressure on anyone, but please send us your results. And then if you have questions, comments, concerns, or just looking for some tips, I am available. If you want to give, call me. We'll do a Facebook chat. I can look at your painting and give you suggestions. So, all right, we got a much brighter day going on here.
Yeah,
so the sky is bluer.
I'm gonna look at this other photograph real quick of Joey's.
All right, let's check out.
Here's another Joey Henry print right there.
So it is important right now to support.
And this is the album we've been listening to,
people.
Emotionally Charged by Joey Henry's Dirty Sunshine Club.
All right.
Alright.
Thanks, everybody. That was fun. Saturday night, we'll be doing a couple's picture. Oh, this is kind of nice. These are sitting like this.
Yeah.
There's going to be Nelson Atkins lawn. We'll have the shuttlecocks. There's a background. I just don't have a big version of it done yet, but we will. Thank you, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.